Your tires are wearing out right now, not because of road conditions, not because of how you drive, because your wheels are pointed in a direction they were never supposed to point, and every mile you drive is grinding rubber off your tires that should last another 20,000 miles. And the dealership that just quoted you $650 for an alignment knows something you do not. The check that tells you whether you actually need that alignment costs $0 and takes 4 minutes in your driveway. $0 against $650. And they have known about this $0 check since before alignment machines were invented. They didn't hide this because it fails. They hid it because it works too well. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you is going to change how you respond to every alignment recommendation you receive for the rest of your driving life. And it is going to make you genuinely angry at an automotive service system that has been collecting hundreds of dollars from American drivers for a service that starts with a check any person can do themselves for free in 4 minutes. Let me put the real number in front of you first. The automotive alignment and suspension service industry generates over $8 billion annually in the United States. $8 billion every year from American drivers who are told during routine tire rotations, oil changes, and safety inspections that their alignment is off and needs professional correction. The standard four-wheel alignment service costs between $80 and $200 at most shops. At dealerships, the same service runs between $150 and $650 depending on the brand and the market. And the American Automobile Association estimates that American drivers pay for between 40 and 60% more alignment services annually than their vehicles actually require based on engineering specifications. That means somewhere between 40 and 60% of the alignment services sold to American drivers every year are being recommended on vehicles whose alignment is within acceptable engineering tolerances and does not require correction. The shop has a financial incentive to recommend the service. The driver has no way to verify the recommendation independently, and so the invoice gets paid every single time. Think about the last time a shop told you that you needed an alignment. Did you question it? Did you ask to see the measurements? Did you have any way of knowing whether the recommendation was accurate or whether you were one of the 40 to 60% who paid for a service their vehicle did not need? You did not have a way to know, because the $0 check that gives you that information was never once mentioned by the service advisor standing at your car with a clipboard. Let me tell you what alignment actually is before I show you the check. Because understanding what the service is doing helps you understand what the $0 home check is measuring. Your car has 4 wheels. Each wheel needs to be pointed in a specific direction relative to the car's centerline and the road surface. Toe alignment refers to whether the fronts of the tires are pointed slightly inward toward each other, called toe in, or slightly outward, called toe out. Camber alignment refers to whether the tire sits perfectly vertical against the road surface or tilts slightly inward or outward at the top. Caster alignment refers to the angle of the steering axis when viewed from the side of the vehicle. Of these 3 measurements, toe alignment is both the most commonly misadjusted and the most directly observable without professional equipment. It is also the measurement responsible for the vast majority of tire wear caused by misalignment. And it is the measurement the $0 home check directly assesses. The alignment machine at a shop is a sophisticated laser measurement system that gives precise readings of all 3 angles simultaneously. For vehicles that genuinely need alignment correction, this equipment and the trained technician operating it provides a valuable and accurate service, but the first step before any measurement and before any service recommendation should be the visual checks that any driver can perform themselves to determine whether professional measurement is even warranted. That first step is what the industry needs you to never take on your own. This channel exists to make sure you take it. We find the knowledge that automotive service industries need American drivers to never have. We put it in plain language. We hand it to you directly. If you want to stop wasting money on industry lies, subscribe and hit the bell. Because the alignment and tire industry is one of the most profitable systems built on information asymmetry in American automotive life, and we are making that asymmetry disappear. Now let me tell you where this knowledge comes from. Because it did not originate in a YouTube video. It comes from the earliest days of the American automotive industry, when professional alignment equipment did not exist, and drivers and mechanics had to assess alignment using observation and simple tools that cost nothing. The year is 1928. The place is a Ford Motor Company training facility outside Detroit, Michigan. A mechanical engineering instructor named Raymond Holt is teaching a generation of Ford service technicians how to diagnose vehicle handling problems using direct observation and simple measurement before the era of professional alignment machines. Raymond teaches his students a systematic series of visual and manual checks that identify alignment issues with enough accuracy to determine whether a vehicle needs professional correction or whether the handling complaint has a different cause entirely. He documents these checks in a Ford service training manual distributed to dealer technicians across the country. The manual is a training document for mechanics. It is never distributed to car owners. Over the following decades, as professional alignment equipment becomes standard shop equipment, the simple observational checks that Raymond Holt taught his technicians in 1928 get buried under the technology and profitability of the professional alignment service industry. Your grandmother already knew this. She used it every single day, not in the technical sense of wheel geometry, but in the practical sense of reading her vehicle's behavior. She knew what her car felt like when it was right, and she knew what it felt like when something was off. She looked at her tire wear patterns before every long trip. She noticed when the car pulled to one side. She caught problems early by observation rather than paying for diagnostic services she had no way to verify. She drove her cars for 15 years because she paid attention to what they were telling her. The alignment service industry needs you to believe that reading your own vehicle requires professional equipment. It does not. Now let me explain simply how toe misalignment actually damages your tires, so you understand exactly what you're looking for when you do the $0 check. Imagine two pencils lying flat on a table pointed at each other, but slightly crossed at the front. Now imagine dragging both pencils forward across the table in that crossed position. The pencil tips are not moving in a straight line. They are fighting against each other as they move forward. That scrubbing friction is exactly what happens to your tire tread when toe alignment is off. The tire is rolling forward, but it is also being dragged sideways at the contact patch with the road surface. At the molecular level, the rubber at the tire edge is experiencing a combination of rolling friction and lateral scrubbing friction simultaneously. The rolling friction is normal and expected. The lateral scrubbing friction is abnormal and causes accelerated feathering and wear on the inner or outer edge of the tire tread depending on the direction of the misalignment. This feathering wear pattern, where the tread blocks on one side of the tire develop a sawing edge visible and feelable by hand, is the physical evidence of toe misalignment that has been accumulating on your tires while you have been driving. It is detectable with your hand in 30 seconds, and it tells you more about whether your vehicle needs alignment than any service advisor's recommendation unsupported by actual measurement data. The alignment service industry cannot charge you $650 for a check you can do yourself. They cannot patent the observation of tire wear patterns. They cannot trademark the string method or the tape measure method that Raymond Holt's 1928 Ford training manual described. So instead, they build the narrative that alignment assessment requires a laser measurement machine and a trained technician. That narrative is true for the precise correction phase. It is completely false for the initial assessment phase that determines whether correction is warranted at all. And keeping you from doing the assessment phase yourself is worth billions of dollars per year to the industry. Every alignment service you paid for without first doing a $0 home check. Every shop recommendation you accepted without the ability to verify it independently. Every tire set that wore out faster than it should because you did not know how to read the wear pattern that was telling you alignment was off months before a shop visit. All of it was the information gap that Raymond Holt's 1928 training manual tried to close for Ford technicians, and that the modern alignment industry needed to keep open for American drivers. If you've made it this far, you already know more than 99% of American drivers about what alignment actually is, what it does to your tires when it is off, and why the $0 home check has been buried under the profitable complexity of the professional alignment service industry for decades. Here's exactly what you do. The complete $0 assessment method that tells you whether your vehicle warrants professional alignment service or whether the shop recommendation you just received is one of the 40 to 60% that does not reflect an actual engineering need. This assessment has three components: the tire wear check, the straight line drive check, and the steering center check. Each one takes between 1 and 3 minutes. Together, they give you enough information to make an informed decision about whether professional alignment measurement is warranted for your specific vehicle right now. Start with the tire wear check. This is the most informative of the three assessments and the one that Raymond Holt's 1928 training manual emphasized above all others. Park your vehicle and squat down beside each tire in turn. You're going to run the flat of your hand across the tire tread surface from the inner edge to the outer edge. Do this slowly. What you are feeling for is a difference in surface texture between the inner and outer tread edges. Healthy tire tread that is wearing evenly feels smooth and consistent across its full width. Every tread block feels roughly the same height and the same surface texture from inner edge to outer edge. Now, if your tire has been experiencing toe misalignment, even mild toe misalignment that has not yet produced visible wear, the tread blocks on the leading edge of the misalignment direction will have begun to develop a feathered edge. The front face of each tread block will feel slightly sharp or raised compared to the back face, like very subtle fins running across the tread. You feel this as a slight roughness or directionality when you run your hand across the tread in one direction versus the other. Smooth in one direction, slightly rough in the other. That feathering is the early signature of toe misalignment wearing your tire asymmetrically. Look at the tire while you are squatted down. Look at the inner edge tread depth compared to the outer edge tread depth. On a well-aligned vehicle, these should look essentially the same. If the inner edge tread is visibly shallower than the outer edge, or vice versa, if one side of the tire looks significantly more worn than the other side, your tire has been experiencing misalignment, and the alignment is likely to be outside acceptable engineering tolerance. Do this check on all 4 tires, and note which tires show wear differences and which edges are more worn. Inner edge wear on front tires typically indicates negative camber or toe-out condition. Outer edge wear typically indicates positive camber or toe-in condition. Wear on both edges with good center tread indicates underinflation rather than alignment. Center wear with good edge tread indicates overinflation rather than alignment. This pattern recognition takes 60 seconds per tire and gives you information that the shop uses their laser machine to confirm. Move to the straight line drive check. Find a quiet, empty, flat section of road. A parking lot works well. Accelerate to about 25 miles per hour on the flat surface, then take your hands completely off the steering wheel for 3 to 5 seconds while maintaining speed. Watch which direction the car drifts. A well-aligned vehicle on a flat road will travel in a straight line with no steering input for several seconds. A vehicle with significant alignment issues will drift consistently to one side. If your car drifts clearly and consistently to the left or right on a flat road with no hands on the wheel, alignment is likely off. Important clarification on this check. Most American roads have a slight crown, a gentle curve that makes the center of the road higher than the edges to allow water drainage. On a crowned road, even a perfectly aligned vehicle will drift very slightly toward the curb side because of the road geometry rather than the alignment. Do this check on a flat parking lot surface rather than a public road to eliminate the crown variable. And do this check safely. Short duration, low speed, complete attention to the road ahead, hands ready to take the wheel immediately. The third check is the steering center check. Park your vehicle pointing perfectly straight ahead. Look at your steering wheel. The logo or the center mark of your steering wheel should be perfectly centered, perfectly level, perfectly horizontal when your wheels are pointing straight ahead. Now get out of the car and squat at the front of the vehicle, looking down the hood center line toward the windshield. Sight down the center line of the vehicle and look at whether both front wheels appear to be pointing in the same direction relative to the vehicle center line. If your steering wheel is noticeably off center when driving straight, tilted to one side rather than centered, alignment has shifted from its original setting. This is one of the clearest indicators that your vehicle's alignment has moved outside its original specification and that professional measurement and correction is warranted. After doing all 3 checks, you now have objective information. Compare what you found to what the shop told you. If your tires show no feathering wear, no edge-to-edge depth difference, your car tracks straight with no hands on a flat surface, and your steering wheel is centered when driving straight, you have significant evidence that the alignment recommendation you received may be one of the 40 to 60% that does not reflect an actual need. Ask the shop to show you the printout from their alignment machine with the before measurements. Any reputable alignment service provides this printout as standard practice. If the before measurements show all 4 angles within the green acceptable range on the printout, the vehicle did not need alignment correction regardless of what the service advisor told you. If your checks reveal feathering wear, consistent directional drift, or an off-center steering wheel, your vehicle likely does have an alignment condition that warrants professional measurement and correction. In that case, the professional service is genuinely indicated and represents real value for protecting your tire investment. The $0 check is not telling you to never get an alignment. It is telling you to get one only when your vehicle is actually showing the physical evidence of misalignment, rather than simply when a service advisor's recommendation, unsupported by the evidence your own checks can provide, tells you that you should. The difference between following this method and following every shop recommendation you receive is between 1 and 3 unnecessary alignment services per decade per vehicle. At $150 to $650 per service, that is between $150 and $1,950 per vehicle, staying in your household budget over 10 years. From a 4-minute check in your driveway that costs $0, and that Raymond Holt taught Ford service technicians in a Detroit training facility in 1928. Your grandmother read her tires and her vehicle's behavior before every trip, because that was how her generation maintained their cars. The alignment service industry needs you to believe that reading your own vehicle requires professional equipment. It requires observation, it requires the 4-minute check, and it requires the knowledge that the industry has needed you to never have. Now here's what I need from you before you leave this video. Think of one driver in your life who just got an alignment recommendation they cannot verify. A parent, a friend, someone who mentioned a shop quote that felt too high for a car that seems to drive fine. Send them this video today, right now before you close this tab, because every share keeps alive what the industry tried to erase. Raymond Holt taught this in Detroit in 1928. Your grandmother applied the same principles every time she checked her tires. You continue that chain of knowledge every time you share this with a driver whose money you might just keep where it belongs.